Who's ready to win the day in sports? I know you are. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com, Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Justin Fensterman, and let's break everything down from a fantasy sports perspective. What's going on, everybody? There we go here. Gotta love a little technical issue, a little bit of a new setup. My name is Justin Fensterman, and welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by the good old FG, FantasyGuru.com, where you can find all of my work. You see it at Fensty Sports, FENSTY Sports, on X and Instagram, and at FantasyGuru.com, and our Discord at Fensty, FENSTY. Amazing time right now. We got the World Series kicking. We still got coverage going on at FantasyGuru.com. We got all things football here, including, by the way, I want to make sure that everybody gets in on the great deal that we have to offer, because Fantasy Sports Daily here is kind of our extension at FantasyGuru.com, where we want to see if you want to become part of the elite mafia. That's what we're all about here. Join the fun. Still time here. A lot of time, a lot of content when it comes to that football season. And I want to put this out there right now for those that love a little Halloween fun. Ooh. Ghost 20% off everything until Monday. Better than anything you'll get trick-or-treating with your kids or even with yourself. Adults trick-or-treat too. Anything goes. I wonder how many adults themselves trick or treat. You got like a lot of kids going on. Then you got the adult in the costume expecting candy too. Could be a little bit awkward. I was actually doing a trick or treat with my kid in the neighborhood a couple of days ago. And I love squeezing things. Sometimes you'll see when my hands raise, I have something in my hand. It's actually one of these right here, a little squeeze toy there. It actually helps for those that are either communicating and also want to make sure you get all your thoughts clear and straight. Having something in your hand, it helps your awareness and you're not too caught up in your head. It's something that I learned from the movie Made in Manhattan back in the day. Didn't think I'd learn anything from that movie, but hey, being a broadcaster, something definitely that helps. And for all of you with kids out there that want to become broadcasters, having something in your hand so you feel all your feels, that helps you put on a better show with concise thoughts. Basketball, football, we got a lot going on here. Besides here that you got the promo code, everything that you could want at Fantasy Guru for $160 up. Support at FantasyGuru.com in order to get involved for all things football the rest of the way. I also want to talk about, while I'm talking about plans, the MVP package. And this is a great place to start here before I go over what we're talking about when it comes to the football side and the basketball side here. If you want all things beyond football, everything that we have to offer except for football and baseball, you can go all in with our MVP package. All of our remaining sports, DFS, Discord access, betting, you get it all on the site, excluding football and baseball, but all of our other sports, including basketball, you get right there too. It's great to see all of you in the chat right there. Double A, you like that? Hey, there you go. You know, at the end of the day, that's what we do. Some of our neighbors do trick or treat presents right there. What's going on? How are you, E? How are you, Seaweed? It's great to see you too. Everybody in the chat getting ready for a big night. When it comes to the NBA, we're locked and loaded at FantasyGuru.com. And here are some of the players that I'm going to be focusing on here because, as I've been saying on Wednesdays moving forward until the football season ends, I will be doing half football, half basketball. I'm going to start off with basketball, and then Rich Maletto, he's back from the Fantasy Bosco, getting ready to join me to talk some football, getting ready for week 9. If you thought last week was crazy, not as many teams on bye, but still with the injuries, especially at quarterback, we're going to have some names that we weren't expecting having to be season saviors to get us to week 10, the double digits. That's what we're talking about for the week. On the site right now, you've got Rich's articles, including buy, sell, cut, everything that he has. Waiver wire articles from Tyler Beaker. Mind of Marsal podcast from Armando Marsal, who joins Ray Flowers every single Tuesday. Ray's on this show Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, with me taking the Wednesdays here. You can catch Ray, though. We all love Ray. He'll be with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show, 2 p.m. Eastern, not only Wednesdays, but all week long on Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius XM Channel 87. Jeff also hosts the Fantasy Football pregame show every single Sunday on Fantasy Sports Radio, 11 a.m. Eastern. And then yours truly and Russell Clay join the airwaves at 6 p.m. Eastern for Elite Sports Game Time. Just so pumped. Pumped it's Halloween week. I'm someone that you could see doesn't really miss a meal, loves candy. And I'll say this, dad tax is on for all with kids out there. Although it's cool because nobody likes my favorite candy. Nobody. It's weird. My one seed of candy. I'm ready. I'm ready for the haters in the comments because everyone's going to be like, dude, peanut butter cups. Peanut butter cups are my 2 seed. My 1 seed, Butterfinger. Ooh. Oh, Fensty. How can you say Butterfinger? It gets in your teeth. It sticks in your teeth. I think that's overstated. I am a defender of the Butterfinger. Tastes amazing. Also, and I could give Cold Stone some credit for this because that was the first time I did this, mixing it with ice cream too. Absolutely incredible. But at the same time, people are like, oh, it gets stuck in your teeth. It's not a milk dud, okay? It's not an hour later. It's very overstated. They taste amazing. Put them in the fridge. Here we go already. I will trade. Yes, I will trade. And I love Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I will trade you my Reese's Peanut Butter Cups for Butterfinger. So seaweed, probably the fairest trade I could think of from all that I've been offered in any of my fantasy leagues this year. So congratulations. You are the 1 seed. F1WEC says, Baby Ruth. My wife would agree. She loves Baby Ruth. I like them too. I think I like talking about them more from like the Goonies. Baby Ruth. There's Sloth Loves Chunk. Don't forget about that. But Baby Ruth also very good. But for me, yours truly, people don't like it. It's not like a ooey gooey Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. It's not fluff like Three Musketeers. But Butterfingers are awesome. And when they're chopped up and mixed into stuff, mixed into Fribbles or whatever you get, I think that's from Friendlies, McFlurries, wherever you get from Dairy Queen. I've actually never been to Dairy Queen. Butterfingers are awesome. They deserve more love. Let's talk some sports here. Because before I go into players and dive right into it, there's something serious that I want to talk about. And I realized last week when I was on with you guys, I was very preachy. And I am around the NBA season because the NBA season, as I told you last week, means the world to me. Fantasy Guru subscribers mean the world to me. Your subscription, and a lot of people say that, but I'll say this, and I can speak on behalf of our staff, we mean it. And we're not the only site that means it or anything, but we care. And I think that sometimes it's, a lot of people just jump in, they put their picks out, boom, 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 see you later. We're not about that life. We explain the process. We get you to hopefully understand that NBA is a marathon. Fantasy football, a marathon. You can play it very casually, or you can play it the right way. You can commit to it the right way. And in basketball, it's very hard to do that. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, not to call anybody out, but I've had a few people say to me and ask me how much they should be spending on leagues. I've had other people go, hey, Fensty, what do you think of this lineup? I'm in a high dollar tournament and I really want to hit. And I want to say this, that while I care very much and deeply about your subscription, the other part of that, and I feel like this should go without saying for an analyst, a content creator, to a consumer, is that we care about your money. We don't want to see anybody going broke doing this. I'm not, even though I write up last year for basketball, I wrote up over 600 bets between day one of the season and game 7 of the NBA Finals. I wrote up over 600 bets. And how do I have the budget? Because you're going to hit some, you're going to miss some. For me, I am not a high stakes wagerer. I'm not a high stakes DFS player. That's my budget. That's how I handle it. That's my decision. How you handle your entry, how much you play, that's where it kind of ends between us. Because I'm always going to tell you, even though it's not fun, to bet conservatively, especially early on in a season where we have games going every night, the team's playing 2 nights later. We're still finding trends. So am I going to suggest, enter this high dollar contest? I'm not going to suggest that. But if you tell me you're going to do that and then you say you need to hit, it's a high dollar contest, well, that's on you. Okay? That's on you. Play in lower dollar contests until you feel like you got your feet under you, until we feel we've got our feet under us. And I'll say this, in DFS for the first week and change, week number 1, excellent. Excellent. Very hard to do, but seeing your screenshots in our DFS NBA Discord, that's what makes events like Watch Along Wednesday, which is tonight, by the way, in our DFS NBA Discord from 7 till about 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm in that Discord watching games. I got a bunch of screens. I'm watching games and I'm reacting to what I'm seeing on the court, because what you're going to read from my write-ups is about what I'm seeing on the tape mixed with the analytics and the trends. That's what I'm about. I'm a tapeworm. I love watching tape. That's how I think we all got into sports. We love watching it. But nowadays, and I get it, we're all not kids anymore. We've got adults. We're adults. We've got responsibilities. We've got jobs. Some 9 to 5, others wacky hours. And I understand that and respect that. But I'm always going to be honest and upfront with you that you just looking at the article, it's not good enough when it's posted, because things change a lot. And I'm not saying in Discord you have to be there every day, every minute, but when there's a bunch of questionable players on a slate, that's what Discord is for. That's half the battle. That's the second half. The article is half the battle. Do I change cores? Yes, I do. I want to say I change cores 50% of the time. I think about those that are not in Discord and that are just reading the article, and I try to hold on as long as I can, but sometimes things change. Sometimes we need to go for the bench player that all of a sudden is going to be getting 33 minutes because the starter in front of them is hurt. And maybe somebody else is starting who everybody else is going to go to. But that's a gas guzzler. And if they're not producing, we're going to benefit from lower ownership. There's a lot that goes into it. And I've got our Fensterman's Basketball Diaries weekly podcast on the Elite Plus network. And I talked with Scott Bonder, one of our analysts on the site, part of the NBA team, among other teams at fantasyguru.com, all about that process. And that's why today, when it comes to how we're going to learn, I'm going to talk about the beginning part of my process so you out there understand it and you learn, especially for those that want to get involved with basketball. Because for me, I love it, but we need some time in order to find the trends. DFS is going great. I'll be upfront. Betting, not so great so far. I can admit that. But I'm not going to all of a sudden run away and hide for 5 days. What feels like 1 month already, it's only been a week. We got 8 months of this, and I'm ready for it. So week number 1 hasn't been great with betting. Hasn't. Trust me, I don't like it either. I can't stand missing. And it kind of takes me down a peg or two when DFS is going well, but betting, on the other hand, not so much. So pretty much what I do is I got to learn the process. And we're going to have some woes at times. But you know what? We're going to overcome it. And you see the analysis there. That's what's good about the bets that I put out. You see what's going on in my mind. And it kind of gives you the decision to make it. Some of you just see the pick, you place it. Others, because again, this is a marathon 8 months from now until the middle of June. That's what we do here. That's the kind of heat we bring. That's the kind of fire that we bring. So DFS has been on fire. Betting, not so much. I'm not worried. I'm not going away. I'm not just going to start firing off 10 bets a night and hope to hit 9 of them to catch me up on a record. No, we're going to stick to the process. We're going to look at these teams and we're going to find those players and be ahead of the curve. And that's what it's all about. Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern in the DFS NBA Discord channel. Watch along Wednesday. Last week was so much fun. A bunch of you showed up. You're talking about your teams, talking about the bets, DFS squads, your favorite NBA teams, who you like to watch. I was kind of giving a little bit of instant analysis regarding some of the game flow that I was seeing. And so that's why I'm just very excited to start NBA here. And it's a marathon. And I'll keep saying that. We're just done with week 1. And with the screenshots I've seen, so far, so good on the DFS end. And that makes me just very, very pumped when it comes to that. And that's the thing. Seaweed saying it too. You know, it's huge because our podcast does not stop when it comes to Fensty's Basketball Diaries. I keep it going even during the summer so we can keep that NBA mindset. You have to live the NBA in order to be great at it. You've got to live it. I was talking to some of my buddies, including Phil Backert and everything, going through lifestyle changes and everything. The NBA season, I train like I'm about to go play. What I eat, routine-oriented to make sure I'm not missing the news, not getting too crazed about everything. Not everything has to be cramming. It's a lifestyle. I live it, and I love it, and I love this league. And that's why we're going to crush it this year. We've been for DFS, and that's why for that and betting, we are going to get some W's. For tonight's NBA slate, what we're going to be facing a lot is split slates on Wednesdays. And that's why it's pretty imperative that I talk about it on this stream, because tonight, FanDuel, and what we'll often see, FanDuel's got 9 games going. They've got the final 2. DraftKings has 7. So that changes the strategy a little bit. And it also stinks on a day like today. It's one thing if you have a low total with teams that are kind of garbage, you don't really want to touch anyway. But when your highest total on the board is Memphis Phoenix and it's only on FanDuel, we're going to have to force ourselves to get some plays there. Now, this Phoenix Suns team, we're kind of trying to figure out who we can trust on a night in, night out basis, because it's essentially looking like a Devin Booker or bust at this point. We'll have to see how that works out when Jalen Green has taken a whole bunch of low percentage shots, unless he's matured. Let's not forget in that Kevin Durant trade, Jalen Green was there. But a couple of guys on Phoenix that I mess with, because if I'm not feeling great about a team, I'll only stick to value. And these are values if I need to plug and play. Guys like, for instance, Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal is normally what I call a gas guzzler, just taking on minutes and not really having the biggest bang for his buck, but is still out there for minutes. And that's if half the team is out there, then this is a guy that you must have. But he's very cheap. He's been outperforming his potential. And that's someone in a pace-up spot, because I could say this, pace. Some of you are like, pace? Pacers? Pacers do have pace. But I'll say this, when it comes to pace of play determines those production ceilings to me. And I'll tell you this now, and next week, maybe I'll chart it out for you a little bit better, that the fastest teams in the NBA, and this is why it's important, a lot of people look at the Miami Heat as this real slow-moving offense from years past. They're the fastest team in the league right now. That's why knowing the pace is important, because pace produces possessions. And Memphis has been one of the quickest teams over the last couple of years when it comes to pace. So I try to attack them whichever way I can. And Memphis doesn't have a banger of a team. Jaren Jackson can step out. They're dealing with a couple of front court injuries. No more Desmond Bane on this team. A couple of their guards are out too. Pippen's hurt. Ty Jerome is hurt. And Ja Morant's price has been pretty high. But we can still attack them, though, with some of these value guys too, for those that are playing on FanDuel tonight. The other game when it comes to FanDuel this evening that won't be featured is the Lakers-Minnesota game. And seeing what we've seen from Austin Reeves, a little bit disappointed there. Also, on the Minnesota side, Anthony Edwards being out opens up a ton of value. And the other night was talking with people in Discord. Mike Conley was super cheap. And so I was looking at Mike Conley and knowing that he was going to get some minutes. And we're still seeing him tonight on FanDuel for under 4K, because now when it comes to this team with no Anthony Edwards, you're looking at Dante DiVincenzo, and Mike Conley helping out, and it gives and boosts guys like Julius Randle too. And let's not forget, no LeBron James. The Lakers' front court is pretty much DeAndre Ayton, and that's it. So you can take advantage of their front court. So for those playing on FanDuel, you got to be careful. But I'll say this, if there's a bigger beneficiary, someone please tell me in the chat, but everything that I've researched when it comes to this, and this is where we can go back to last year a little bit too, but Naz Reid gains value. Naz Reid has scored 16 plus over his last couple of games, 7 plus rebounds. Just someone that gets a little bit more usage, someone that benefits a little bit more, helps stretch the floor. We know that Anthony Edwards has incredible offense, but now that's got to be spread around. And a lot of people naturally are flocking to Julius Randle for good reasons. And, especially tonight, the Lakers gave up on this guy. Revenge game. I don't include that, by the way, in my articles, because when it's revenge game, when you have journeymen, you can have 4, 5, 6 teams that are revenge games. And then there are rules. Well, they leave this one on good terms and bad terms. I don't get into that. I love narratives. I love it as a little oomph, but I don't really fully rely on that. It seems like with certain narratives, and I got to give credit to my guy Sandro Anello for this, it's easier to track. There's a little bit of a consistency there. We've seen it happen more. National Tight End Day, for instance, George Kittle always scoring touchdowns. Again, it's hard to really put in. You're either all in or all out on the revenge narratives. For me with basketball, I'm all out because the sport is so volatile. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to take advantage and have a lineup with Julius Randle in there tonight. But those guys definitely benefit. Randle, Naz Reid, Mike Conley. Those guys absolutely benefit with no Anthony Edwards on the floor. So that's what, unfortunately, and for the Lakers, that's a team you leave for the most part outside of Austin Reeves. I don't want to mess with a Rudy Gobert with DeAndre Ayton. No disrespect. Ayton's perfectly fine with just grabbing boards, and that's it. So with no Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, because they're missing multiple guys, the Lakers at this point. So other guys on the Lakers that you could look at, and it's even tougher to look at some of these other guys like coming off the bench, the Marcus Smart, who's in and out of the lineup. It's just very hard to do that. And so you're looking at guys at this point beyond like Jaxson Hayes. No, you're not going to do that. He's banged up. Jared Vanderbilt, that's where I'm going to stay. When I'm unsure about the team as a whole, outside of one option, I'm not going to try to create a value play out of nothing here. And I want to see a little bit of a track record. And that's why a lot of this Lakers team, you got to be careful. A lot of people are going to try to turn Dalton Connect into a thing. Dalton Connect, he should be motivated to play, but I've read multiple interviews where his heart isn't into it. They traded him away. He's taking it personally. They traded him away. They traded Robert Horry away back 30 years ago. No one recognized this. They traded Robert Horry away, but the trade got voided because I think it was Sean Elliott failed the physical. Horry came back there, won multiple titles. Dalton Connect is in his feels. He doesn't want to be there. He feels unwanted. They're forced to play him now, but he's very scoring dependent. Just remember that. He's not going to really help you on the boards. He's not a playmaker. Maybe he'll get you a steal. He's got ups. But at the end of the day, he's just a scorer. So you got to be careful when it comes to that. When we have such a low ceiling and the floor is a little bit shaky, despite half the team being out or questionable heading into tonight. Other games that I definitely want a part of tonight, and this is where I could bring in the DraftKings players out there to this conversation, is that a couple of the games that I want part of, Sacramento and Chicago. I want a part of that. Sacramento has been playing pretty good basketball. I'll say that much. They've been keeping games close. Chicago has started off the season very nicely too, but this game is going to fly. And we want guys from this game. Chicago can't cover the interior. So Domantas Sabonis is back in play once again. Oh, back to back. Nah, he's back in play once again. In a game like this, pace like this, Will the scoring be there? That's something we always have to ask ourselves, but we know the rebounds will be there. And I'll say this right now, and I'll have to look to see if I can get another line, but I'm looking at he went over his rebounds. It's been since last year at that 12.5 mark, toggling on the 13.5 mark. If you're going to bet big on Sabonis, this is the matchup to do it. So that's something that I'm looking at. I haven't fully decided if I'm going all in, but that's where I'm going. The Bulls give up a lot of rebounds, and they're not a good interior defense. They're just not. So Sabonis should be able to be all over them there. And it'll be interesting to see what Russell Westbrook has to do with all this. Remember, they're missing guys like Keegan Murray. Normally, I'm afraid of the guards here, but in a matchup like this, if it's a pace spot, then maybe I would look at a Westbrook, but that's not a main play. Somebody that is going to likely be a main play is Pascal Siakam, because I want a piece of that front court going up against Dallas. And Pascal Siakam, no joke or no deception or anything like that. He's been absolutely incredible to start the year. He's someone that we can look to rely on. The Pacers continue to lose players. Mathurin is hurt. Andrew Nembhard is hurt. Aaron Nesmith is too physical, plays excellent, suffocating defense, but he's too physical, gets called for a lot of fouls. Pascal Siakam scored 30-plus in 2 of 3 games, double-doubles in 2 of 3 games. And tonight going up against Dallas, where Dallas's bigs outside of Anthony Davis are hurting, I like this, and it's going to be hard for Anthony Davis to keep up with Pascal Siakam. So that's another one that I want to take advantage of what should be an up-tempo style game, knowing these two teams. Now, Indiana's not running the same way as they were with Tyrese Halliburton, but they still get a little bit of a pace boost there. Dallas still top 10 in pace. In fact, here are your top 10 teams in pace right now. Miami, Memphis, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington. We're used to Washington being there. Portland is an interesting one because we're used to them moving a little bit slower. They've sped up. Chicago, Orlando, another team that's kind of run slow. They've been running fast to start off. That game against Miami, I was shocked. I thought that was going to be like a freaking putting a meat in a smoker and like slow and low temperature, slow cooking. But instead, it freaking running down the court. Must have been the first day. And then I saw them play again, and they're still opting to go more up-tempo, Orlando, which is great. Because for them, it won't make pace down spots, or it won't make for what we had last year when they were slower. Then we had to take down the ceilings when they faced those other slow-paced teams. So, again, Miami, Memphis, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, Portland, Chicago, Orlando, Cleveland we've seen up there, and Dallas. Atlanta's right there. Milwaukee's right there. Even Detroit, because a lot of times, and this is what made the Thunder so good, a lot of really solid defensive teams run slower offenses. But that's what made the Oklahoma City awesome and deadly, because they had the best defense in the game, but they were also top 10 in pace. This year, they're running differently, which makes me think, because now they rank in the bottom 5 in pace. Bottom 5, by the way. Houston, no surprise there. The Clippers have been slow for years. That's not going to change. Boston is very, very slow. San Antonio's slowing down a lot. I wonder if that changes once we see not only De'Aaron Fox getting in, but back to 100%. I feel like they're going to start flying up the charts. Utah has slowed down tremendously, and Utah has looked, when they beat the Spurs and ruined that money line parlay that we had. I don't want to say, oh, we had it in the bag, because the hard legs I thought were done. Yeah, the Clippers being on the road, but then facing the Jazz and then getting crushed down by 30 plus the whole game. Go figure right there. That's what falls in that category. So it's Houston, the Clippers, Boston, Spurs, Thunder, and then right behind them, the Jazz. And the Nets have been slow. Be careful with the Brooklyn Nets, because sometimes on smaller slates, we won't have a choice, and we want to take advantage of the value. The Brooklyn Nets are pretty much a team that's funneled through Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. That's really it. They're young guys. It's going to be a long uphill climb for them. Nick Claxton at times, if he's priced down, we can go after him as a floor guy, but he doesn't have any kind of crazy ceiling. He really just doesn't. So when it comes to Nick Claxton, it just, without that ceiling being there, for me, Nick Claxton is just someone that I'll look at on smaller slates, but on larger slates like tonight, I've just been ignoring Brooklyn. Can that create any kind of ownership opportunity? It could create an ownership opportunity, but at the end of the day, I try to stay away. I don't try to get too fancy. One of the things I've been doing is, now a lot of people asking how I build is, do I build more stars and scrubs or balance? I've been going more stars and scrubs to start the year, just taking advantage of those high octane matchups. Some of the higher totals you see right there. Some of the higher totals include guys like matchups like the Kings and the Bulls. The Pelicans and the Nuggets are also at 238.5. Zion Williamson, will he play? We're still kind of waiting on that. And then while we don't like the Brooklyn side, the Atlanta side could be very intriguing for some of their secondary guys, maybe a Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Atlanta's up big. They'll let him run, maybe give Dyson Daniels and Trae Young a little bit of a break. Jalen Johnson, who also, by the way, has some usage, give him a little bit of a break too. And that's where finally you get Portland and Utah. I'll say this, someone I love from Portland, not only do I like Jrue Holiday, but Deni Avdija is another one who I actually like too. Deni Avdija is running the floor. He does a little bit of everything. And when it comes to Deni Avdija, not only helps out in a multi-category producer, but we're seeing it with this Blazers team. He has them because he handles a lot of the offense, moving a lot quicker. And that's where we can take advantage. People are going to forget about Portland, but guys like Klingon I'm going to be watching. Holiday is established, and Deni Avdija, who I think is a very safe option. So a little NBA preview for everyone. You're going to get this every single Wednesday. But now I know what drives the bus, pays the bills, and that's fantasy football. Welcoming back to the program for the first time in a long time. Welcome back, Connor, a.k.a. Rich Maletto, the Fantasy Bosco. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
You know, not a lot of people, not a lot of our listeners probably recognize that reference, but that one hits near and dear to my heart, bud.
All right, so I'll move it up a little bit. I'll do the Mace welcome back song. I know you like that. There you go. I moved the reference up about 25 years for the audience out there.
Hey, I'm good with Welcome Back, Cotter, man. That was a great show.
Dude, I miss you, man. How you doing?
I miss you. I'm all right. It's been a little crazy, can't lie, between NASCAR football, the housework, the expansion at the day job. It's been a little nuts, I'm not going to lie. I'm running on about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night right now, but next week should be better.
Hey, man, you know what? You're working hard. You always do, whether it is at your normal adult job or our little fun kid job that we have right here, doing all the analysis here. Rich, I got to ask you, man, when it comes to Jaxson Dart, I was actually looking at the last time we talked, and we started off talking Jaxson Dart. Now, over a month later, man, what do you think of what you've seen from him so far? And do you feel like we're just going to continue to see him skyrocket and grow as a quarterback the rest of the way, kind of like we saw with Caleb Williams and Drake May last year?
Caleb seems like he's a little more inconsistent, but let's give him a break. New coach, new system. We're definitely seeing improvements. There's a lot to like with Caleb's game. I know people are kind of bumming at times, but he's had one of the better ceilings. He's been more consistent than people realize. He's been solid. He's right on the cusp of QB1 in a new system when people are about ready to write him off as a bust. As far as Dart goes, Dart was near and dear to my heart. You know that from a month ago before he even started. We talked about that. Dart will be good. Dart will be fine. I think the trajectory we've seen from Drake May is probably something comparable. My concern, Dart and Scatterboo were a thing, and they changed the culture, for lack of a better term, there in New York. They were bringing a whole different pizzazz, and I think Jeff Mann said it best on air. Dart isn't the rah-rah, get-in-your-face, loud guy, make a statement. Cam Scatterboo was. Yeah. It was kind of like Batman and Robin, right? And if Robin was like the loud, boisterous one, right, if you will. You know, right. Batman's doing the dirty work, but I'm a little concerned that without Scadaboo, that one, this offense as a whole takes a step back, because it's very clear Scadaboo brought a part of the game as far as the rushing attack goes that they didn't have on the roster. And now they don't have that again. They're not going to get that from Singletary. They're not going to get that from Tracy. Tracy was a nice compliment for Scadaboo, even though Scadaboo was a true good third down back. I mean, his catching ability was sound. But Tracy adds a little bit of a speed element, good change of pace type of thing. Not having Scadaboo, I think, hurts Dart in not only the lack of rushing game, but also his mental aptitude, if you will. Like, I'm a little worried it's not going to be the same Dart. We're not going to have the same fire in the eye type of Dart. Now, going forward into next year, I think it'll be fine. I think we're going to have a bumpy road here the rest of the way. I'm still in on Dart. I'm still high on Dart. I'm just tempering my expectations a little bit because I do think the Cam Scadaboo loss is fairly significant.
Rich, when it comes to Tyrone Tracy, you were kind of talking about it there. Because I don't know if he was even out there on waivers, because I think maybe people just held on to him just in case. But I mean, you think it's that much of a downgrade that not only it impacts the run game, but this whole offense here, because with teams on bye and players hurt, I'm wondering if we can rely on any of these giants going up against the 49ers.
The one guy I think it might surprise us, and I don't even know if I trust or rely on him, but it would be Slayton, which I've gotten in the streamer article, right? When the injury happened to Malik Neighbors to begin with, Slayton was kind of the guy I was eyeballing. Not so much that he could do Neighbors, but he's going to play a similar role. Wan'Dale Robinson's role is going to be his role. 7 to 10 targets a week, short area of the field, low ceiling, decent floor. Khalil Shakir type numbers without the explosiveness, right? Slayton's going to be a deep downfield threat. Hyatt's more of the stretch the field kind of guy. But, you know, people got really excited for little Jordan Humphreys. Slayton's going to be playing that role. So if you liked little Jordan Humphreys 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, you should like Slayton now. So I think there's something to love there. Theo's got a tough matchup. The 49ers have actually been very good against the tight end. Not surprised. They go against one of the best in practice weekly. So when that happens, you tend to see defenses that understand and how to take away that role. So I'm a little down on Theo Johnson for the week, but I like him as a tool. I mean, going forward, this Giants team can be fun. I don't know if we see a coaching change. I kind of would hope we don't, because I want to see what we get next year with the Dart. A Scadaboo, maybe they add another running back, and Scadaboo's going to be out till midseason next year. I mean, this is the same type of injury Godwin had, and look where we're at with Godwin.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors will be back early in the year. You've got Theo Johnson. They're going to probably be able to get a couple of high draft picks. So I'm very curious to see what this Giants team does, because the defense isn't bad. They've got a couple of things to tweak, but overall, I think the defense is decent. So I really want to see how that works out. But I'm nervous on Dart, man. Like I said, to me, you and I have talked about this. I think we should focus more on this part when we evaluate quarterbacks. So when I look at the distraught on Dart's face, the tears in his eyes, I know this hit him hard.
Oh, yeah.
And we
They're
can't, right, and we can't pretend it doesn't. Now, being good friends, would it shock me if Dart puts on a Superman cape and says, F it, I'm going alone? No. That is very plausible, okay? I'm just not sold. We'll see that, and we'll get a look this week. I think this is a good litmus test this week.
So you mentioned Theo Johnson and whether or not we can trust him. Who are some tight ends, as you do our streamers content at fantasyguru.com every week? Who are a few tight ends that you would consider streaming here for week 9?
I really struggled with the streamer article this week. AJ Barner, you're hoping for a touchdown. He'll get you 2 to 3 catches and 20 yards. So if you get the touchdown, you might hit double digits. He's scoring a touchdown in almost 50% of the games. So, I mean, that's a fair expectation. Dalton Schultz, nobody loves. The guy's got a 5-point floor. He'll get you 10, 12 points once in a while. He's got a 5-point floor. I think the defenses tried to focus on him last week, so it was a little lower because there were none of the studs that we normally see. Nico Collins wasn't out there, etc. But, I mean, if you want to get not 0 points, I really think Schultz is a solid option. Look, if Oronde Gadsden is still out there after waivers have run this week, I mean, please, I didn't put him in the article really because it seems obvious at this point, everybody and their brother wants him. This is where we preach, be ahead of the game. The time to grab Gadsden was when Will Dissly was first injured, and you could have snagged him as a stash player to see what happens. Then you got him for free. So if you're scrambling on the waiver wire, that's fine. And I'll be honest, Fincy, I can't remember the third or fourth tight end.
I got a name for you. Can I throw a name out there?
Absolutely.
Juwan Johnson. He's
fair
still
enough.
Out there.
He is.
They had the QB change, but it's, again, for a 1 week streamer, the guy's had 15 targets over his last 2 weeks here. So
his targets did come back up. They took a massive dip when Taysom Hill came back and not Troutman, the other backup. All the tight ends came back and they decided to use all of them. And his targets went down. But you're right. That's an excellent call out, Fincy. I should have had him in the article.
Yeah, it just, again, nothing too excited here, and they're facing the Rams and all, so it's just nothing too crazy, but at the same time, if I have a shot, I'm looking at this point for that 8 to 10 spot, if I'm streaming tight end.
And here's another one. If Cole Kmet is out again, fire up Loveland against the Bengals.
Okay. Yeah, man, it's crazy with some of these tight ends here, because I'll say this, and this guy's taking us for a ride. Dude, Dalton Kincaid, man. It's like he gets these, and I know he was a little bit banged up. He gets these really appetizing spots, and all of a sudden, just when you think this could be the game that Josh Allen throws to him maybe 8 to 10 times, we're back to 3 targets again, or we're back to 1 reception, but he gets into the end zone, man. He's been like a tease. Like when I used to date in high school, the girls tease me. It's like, this guy's been a tease, man. No one likes a tease.
So between him and Quentin Johnston, I'm ready to stab my own leg, because they are two players. They are 2 players that I have been, hell, I told a guy back in week 1 or 2, it's Dalton can't. Because I'm not going to trust. And Tyler and I were on the same page. He and I had a conversation about this on the roster coach one week. Our concern is, he's going to get you a great 15-point week. And then you're going to think I can count on him. And he's going to get you a 2-point week. That's the nature of the Bills receiving targets. And so you're playing with fire. Well, then after the first 4 or 5 weeks, Tyler and I looked like idiots. Because Kincaid and Jeff, you could see it in Jeff's rankings. Jeff had him more as a tight end too, and all of a sudden he's moving him up each week, and I'm with Jeff on it. I'm like, I get it. I'm right there with you. Now, the moment we start giving him some praise, what happens? He disappears. I have been known as the Johnston hater. It's the running joke on Coaching Stream with Russ, because he's like, you've been off this guy from the beginning. 3 weeks ago, I said, look, he finally showed me something. He's catching with his hands. He attacked the ball instead of letting the ball attack him. I'm in on this guy. He's got some exciting juice. Ever since I made that statement, he's been nothing. Literally nothing. I'm like, you know what? I try to eat crow and come around and say, look, I was wrong. I need to adjust. There's some new evidence. No, I should have just been stubborn and bullheaded, and I'd look brilliant. But it didn't. I tried to adjust to the information in front of us. But those are 2 players I just can't trust, man.
It's tough, dude. You want to trust. He's had good matchups, and he's just not fed a lot. My thing with Kincaid, which made me, and this is where I feel like I almost learned a lesson. I watched an interview. I think it was done on SiriusXM NFL Radio or something like that. Or, this guy, Adam Shine, he had on Josh Allen, and Josh Allen just goes on and on and on, the relationship with Dalton Kincaid, loving to get him involved. And I started to kind of crush on that a little bit, man. And I'm like, okay here. And then I'm like, all right, well, he's not getting the most targets, but he's got a couple of touchdowns. And dude, this roller coaster ride is just not fun, man. We talk about safe floor. What safe floor can you have with 12.8, 5, 15, 9, 13, 0, 2? I mean, come on, bro.
Well, and okay, to your point, Dalton Schultz is 6, 6, 10, 12, 18, 5, or 4.8. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll take the Dalton Schultz numbers because I want to get the 5 to 8 points. I don't want to take the shot on the zeros, man.
Yeah.
That concerns me.
0, he was out for in that matchup. But then, so that does not count there. But I'll say that just to make sure we're all on the up and up here. That was against Atlanta, but that does not, but still coming back from the bye against Carolina with a 2-point week. I just, dude,
this is tight end. I do not understand the people that constantly are asking, start sit on tight ends and chasing the previous week points. Tight ends are fluky. Gadsden, for example, did all of his work in the first quarter. Yeah, everybody's losing their mind over 100% of his work in the first quarter. 100%. Like, it's worth noting. There was a great game about 4 weeks ago. Followed up, played similar snaps, didn't do anything. That's tight end. The Travis Kelce's, the Mark Andrews, the LaPorta's for once a year, those things will come up, but tight end is fluky. It's a matchup thing. It's a game script dependent thing. The best you can do is get a tight end that is out there all the time, that blocks and is receiving because they're on the field. But this is why I just want a floor tight end, and I'll take the low floor points. I just don't want the zeros. I don't want the headache of the extremes back and forth. To me, that's tougher to manage around. I'll put one tight end on my roster, and I'll let it ride. If that's Gadsden right now, I'm not going to freak out he shows up with 2 points this week. I'm not. If it's Kelce, I'm not wigging out when I get 3 points from him. That's just tight end. And we can be mad about it all you want, but my scoring dependency article shows it. The best scoring tight ends, 50% of the production comes from touchdowns. Yeah. If touchdowns were easy to predict, Finster, you'd be putting out touchdown props every week.
Yeah, there's one. It's true. There's one outlier, I feel like, and that's Trey McBride.
Agreed. If you have Trey McBride, agreed.
12 targets a game, but he needs that because he doesn't get in the end zone.
Right.
He needs those 12 targets a game instead of being all right with 6, 7. He needs a double output workload compared to these other guys at the same position because he doesn't get in the end zone.
Unless Brissett is quarterback, and then he seems to find the end zone.
Yes, except for when Brissett's quarterback.
But let's give Brissett credit. He can see over the line, so it's a lot easier to function that way.
Here's the interesting thing. You were talking about Brissett. We've got multiple quarterbacks that are very questionable. I mean, we know Lamar Jackson is going to play, but then you've got a bunch of other ones that are in the air, even guys like Joe Flacco, who've looked pretty good.
Throwing shoulder injury. That one we have to be very careful with.
Right. He's banged up. You also have Penix that's banged up. McCarthy at this point should play, but still not 100%. Who the hell knows with Jaden Daniels at this point? So I got to ask you, man, who are we looking at for QBs?
QB is super tough. It's super tough because of the buys and the injuries. Look, if he's out there, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold before the bye week was QB 13 on the year, and that was coming off a 9-point performance against Houston. He has been a solid 15 to 20-point guy. He has the tools around him. He's got a team that's willing to use the running game fairly significantly, so it's not like we're expecting Darnold to be a superhero. The idea that he's only 30% rostered when he's a QB 13 is kind of mind-blowing to me. We got people going after Fields foaming at the mouth, and I get it. He has a high ceiling, but Fields is getting you 5-point performances back-to-back weeks too. Darnold's not. So Darnold is really, if you're fighting at quarterback and you're scrambling, go get Darnold now and deal with it. Just ride it for the week. I think Brissett should be named the starter. It hasn't happened. I think the offense looks better. Harrison looks better. Michael Wilson looks better. Trey McBride looks better. This whole offense looks better with Brissett, but they haven't announced yet. I'm kind of the opinion we better be on Kyler Murray watch. I'm not sold. If he's still hurt and Brissett can get a couple of wins for the Cardinals, I'm not sold that they go back to Kyler Murray. He has been unimpressive for fantasy purposes, and from a football perspective, he's hard to watch. Like, you want to throw things at your TV watching him play. It's been bad. So I'm hoping Brissett plays because I'd love to use him, and you hit the nail on the head. Look, I did not expect Kirk Cousins to look that pathetic last week. Just awful.
Oh, wait, can I jump in? And to everybody that's trying to be an apologist, Drake London being in or out didn't make a difference. He looked awful.
He hasn't been practicing with Drake May anyway. So, I mean, if we want to talk about, having a good connection with, who was the third stringer that he did focus a little bit on? You expect stuff like that.
Right.
It's clear to me that the Falcons know Penix is it. So if Penix is healthy, he's low enough rostered, you can grab him. I don't know that I want to turn to Cousins, but we are getting into desperate times because I tell you what, I get the change from Rattler to Schlock, but he didn't look any better to me. There was nothing I saw from Tyler Schlock that I was like, yeah, that change made a lot of sense, other than Rattler made some real bonehead plays. And that pick six, that one's tough because he was just trying to get the defender made a great play getting his hand on the ball. But the fumble is what bothered me more. That you can't have. I don't know. I hope Spencer Rattler goes to be a backup like we've seen with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, because I'm not willing to throw the talent on Rattler after the way he played the first part of this year. I really am not. So I hope he gets in with some good coaching and finds a spot somewhere to learn as a backup. But I tell you what, if you held a gun to my head and said I had to go Cousins or Schlock, I might ask you if I could find a tight end to play.
Yeah. Where's Joe Webb? Joe Webb that qualified a QB tight end.
Right.
My next time I want to ask you about running backs here, because when it comes to Bam Knight and even Kareem Hunt for that matter too, I mean, do you trust spot starting these guys going into the week? I mean, Bam Knight, the matchup against Dallas, the monster total in that game, it should be very fantasy friendly, which means it'll probably be a 6-3 final.
I'm somewhat confident in Bam Knight. I'm a little nervous about Dearness Johnson, because Dearness Johnson's look good at times, especially when he played with Cleveland. And although Bam Knight looked great for the Jets not that long ago either, right?
Right.
So because of the matchup, I go Knight here. I struggle trusting Hunt. Here's the thing. I trust Hunt in that I expect Kansas City to put up points, and Hunt is the goal line back. So I hope he falls into the end zone. That's what you get with Hunt. Yeah. I will caution everybody. I know people are thinking Kareem Hunt season because Pacheco went down. I wouldn't assume that. I think Hunt continues to play what he has played, and maybe we see Elijah Mitchell playing Pacheco's role.
Interesting. Pacheco right now, week to week, so we'll have to see what ends up happening with the Kansas City Chiefs here. That's another one here with some of their other receivers where can you trust them to maybe get into the end zone on a couple of targets or not, like a Hollywood Brown?
There's no way I'm playing Mitchell in any sort of format at all, but will I be shocked, Finsty, if we see Mitchell gets 12 touches and has 80-some yards? No. I will not be shocked in the slightest.
So you also write coverage regarding who we can drop when it comes to keeping and dropping. Where are you at with Mark Andrews? I can imagine getting hit up a lot because this is another tight end that you were just saying how you'd be willing to eat it with Travis Kelce at times, but Mark Andrews has done a whole bunch of nothing. But QB coming back a little bit here. Does that change anything? That remains to be seen. But have you gotten a lot of questions regarding dropping Andrews?
I have, but they haven't been the last couple of weeks because I started telling people to drop Andrews about 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
Remember when we were talking? What was the tight end? We made a comparison about a tight end back when, and I said you couldn't drop him for. You couldn't drop Andrews for him, but I said I probably could. I can't remember which tight end it was. That was about the start of the slippery slope for me. Here's where I'm at with Andrews. Isaiah Likely's getting snaps. Isaiah Likely's seeing almost as many targets. Isaiah Likely isn't going away. Mark Andrews is getting older, and this Ravens offense, even with Lamar, hasn't looked good.
No.
So I'm okay dropping Andrews because here's where I'm at. The volume expectation we used to lean on with Andrews isn't there. And you are 100% leaning on tight end production. And since the offense isn't moving the ball well at all, you're not getting that production either. So if I've got a choice between Gadsden and Andrews, I'm going Gadsden.
Wow, Inspector Gadsden over Andrews at this point here. Hey, look, when it comes to this Chargers offense here, we got to be able to put some trust into some of the. At first, it was Quentin Johnson, then Vlad McConkey's coming up here. At what point does Trey Harris just explode onto the scene and takes over for Gadsden at this point, man? It's crazy.
It's a fair point because there's 4 good passing targets there, right? So right. I want to temper expectations with Gadsden. You're going to be a volatile player, but I feel like Gadsden's ceiling is so far above Mark Andrews at this point, and that his floor is no worse than Mark Andrews, that I'll go with Gadsden hoping for the ceiling games here or there because I'll play the law of averages. I'm going to lock Gadsden in, and I'm going to take the 2 points, and I'm also going to take the 20 points. I'm just at the mercy of when it happens.
A couple more questions for Rich Maletto. FantasyGuru.com is where you can find all of his work, but don't follow him on X at Fantasy.
I'm getting better.
Okay. Follow him a little bit at Fantasy Bosco on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. What are some defenses that you'd consider streaming for the week?
Oh, man. Gotta like the Bears against the Bengals, especially if Flacco's out. Gotta love. Look, if Seattle's available to people, Seattle might be a defense you can ride the rest of the way. Their bye is done, and they have been pretty consistent. And they are averaging over 9 points a game, which they're not getting 9 or 10 points a week. But if that's their average, even throwing a bad game of 1 or 2 points, they're scoring significantly for you. So I'm on the fence if Seattle's out there about lock and loading with them weekly, because I like to ride a defense after a bye if I can. It's less to manage around for bye week. Same at tight end and quarterback. The Rams and the Chargers. I think you've got to consider them and their matchups as well. Those are all teams that are fairly available. They're only rostered in about a third of leagues out there. But those, and the Bears are even lower than that. So those are kind of my go-to defenses for the week.
Any love for Jacksonville at all?
Isn't Devin Lloyd out?
Oh, good. Oh, that's good question right there. That I'm unsure.
I think Lloyd is out. I feel like Jacksonville got away with playing some crappy teams early on and then had a nice couple of games in prime time and really on the back of Devin Lloyd. I thought Lloyd was out. If Lloyd is in, I'm okay with the Jags. But I tell you what, that between Jacksonville and Atlanta, I have no idea which team gets off the bus and which doesn't. It is truly amazing to me how those two teams can be so impressive at times and totally not exist at other times. Like, it's so weird.
Unsure if Lloyd is in or out there at this point. So,
okay.
Yeah, still waiting on updates from there. Rich, speaking of updates, why don't you update everybody on what you have coming up at fantasyguru.com?
So, last week in NASCAR, I hope made it. I hope, man, Fancy almost took down another tournament last Friday. You would have been, and it was me,
proud, man. You put out a ton of content. I'm always proud.
Well, it was just I put the content out, forgot about it. I had reserved the lineup, ran and got dinner for the wife and I, was doing all that, had my sports mix up on the TV, and I'm seeing them do parade laps, and I went, holy crap, I didn't put my lineup in. And I always reserve a lineup when I do the cheat sheet, and went through, and I knew I had 4 guys I wanted to use. Didn't know if I could financially make it work, but I knew I wanted to use them. So I threw those 4 in and had 4 choices left for the last 2 spots. Felt really good about the one guy. Shout out to Timmy Hill. And looked at this other name, like, man, why is this name jumping out to me? Like, it's one of those gut feeling things, like, this name. Why did I make a mental note of this name? And I remember making a mental note of the guy. I'm like, did he have a better run than I thought? Why am I thinking about this guy? So I look at the team he's on. It's a self-funded team. That's usually a red flag for me. The guy behind him started even further back. I know I'm looking for is a punt option here to get me, 8, 9, 10 points. So I went with the other guy with the better team. Watched the race. Check at the end. I was 5th. I was like, dang, looked. The guy I had that gut feeling with, had I used him, smoked first place by 14 points. Then here's the real kicker. I go back a little bit later because I get the notice about my winnings and they're less. And I'm like, that's weird. Somewhere one of my drivers had a correction and lost 0.45 points.
Oh, man. How much did that knock you down?
6 identical teams passed me by 0.05 points to put me in 9th place. So I went, and here's the funny thing, Fincy, I was so cramped on setting that lineup. Like, after I said it, I went back to do my research on this Carroll guy. Well, by the time I got back, I was already locked. Like, I literally got my lineup in 1 minute before lock. So to sit there and be like, I almost took down a tournament with a literally scrambled together lineup at the last minute. Granted, I did the homework with the cheat sheet, so I knew what I was looking at, right? But to almost take down another tournament, because that would have been the 3rd or 4th one this year for NASCAR, and they're all small. I mean, I don't want people get too excited. These are $1 entries, okay? I am not big time by any means, but to take down a tournament out of 500-600 people still feels good, right? So
yeah, man. I mean, in NBA, by the way, that's the range that I'm staying at for the most part. I'm not playing in any tournaments. A, I'm playing all single entry this year. B, I'm not playing in a tournament that's bigger than. You know what? I made the number 2,500 people. I kind of want to knock it down to 1,000. I want to play in small field. I want to play in smaller fields this year.
So. It's a good call. And that's where I've had success. Single entry, right around that 500 to 700 range. Now, this is NASCAR. They're going to have smaller entry pools because it's NASCAR. But so we have one more podcast in NASCAR. Sean's doing the overview article this week because he's been helping me out with all the football content. I'll be honest, man, I'm losing my hair. I'm losing sleep. I'm just wore out. So shout out to Sean on that. We will have cheat sheets on all 3 series.
Nice.
I'll have you covered on trucks on Friday. Mark will have you covered on Saturday with Xfinity, and Sean will have you covered on Cup on Sunday. All 3 of us will be on the podcast. So the final podcast of the season, you will get all 3 of us.
Awesome. And with that right there, Rich Maletto at Fantasy Bosco. You can start to follow him there. And also fantasyguru.com, football and NASCAR coverage. He's also on the Roster Coach live stream that we have 7 p.m. Eastern every single Tuesday. Finally, Rich, it is Halloween coming up. We're starting this whole show talking about candy, and I'm a big defender of Butterfinger. No one seems to like Butterfinger.
What?
So
look, it gets stuck in your teeth, but man, a good Butterfinger.
A milk dud. Milk duds get stuck in your teeth. It's overstated, man.
See, there's different kinds of stuck in your teeth. I love hot tamales. They get stuck in your teeth. Milk duds, they get stuck in your teeth. Butterfingers definitely get stuck in your teeth. And I think people get gripey about that because they get these sharp edges. So when you try to use your tongue to get them out. Now, I will say this, though. If you get a fresh Butterfinger, they do not stick in your teeth very much. Having a fresh Butterfinger is delightful. I'll take hate too, Fensty, because my favorite go-to candy, Three Musketeers.
I love Three Musketeers.
People dog on. There's nothing to it. It's just nougat.
I like the chocolate fluff, man. I
do too.
Yes.
I do too.
Yes.
And you know what? On the golf course, salted nut roll is absolutely delightful. Doesn't melt in your hand, and it is wonderful.
Rich Maletto, candy, you get it all. Rich, let's take a couple of questions very quickly here.
You got it.
Here's one. Rest of season here, T. Higgins or Travis Hunter? For me, if everything stays as status quo, unless Joe Flacco is really badly hurt, unless we find out he's out for the season, to me, I'm going T. But what about you?
Yeah, I'm with you on T. Maybe we're wrong on Hunter, but it's one game. And Lawrence hasn't looked good. Thomas was dinged up. Like, everyone's like, the breakout for Travis Hunter is here. Maybe it is. And if it is, I'm going to be slow to the party and I'm going to miss out. But I'm not buying it is.
And finally here from 4K Telwin here, 113. Start 2 for this week. Michael Pittman, Chase Brown, and Kimani Vidal, who I read in your article here, and you're just like, hey, everyone, let's not forget about Hampton. Hampton's still on the team long term. So I've made sure I read that in your article. Where do you stand with these 3 here?
Look, I don't know. I can't sit Pittman.
Neither can I.
I can't sit Pittman. I just can't. He's a lot. And look, here's something for you, 4K. One, I don't really do start sits on Wednesdays. I'm a real stickler like that, like Ray, because it's like, let me pick a pizza without knowing what toppings I have to choose from.
For sure.
We don't have any information. So this is really getting way ahead. I haven't looked at any matchups, but I tell you what, I have a hard time sitting Pittman and Brown.
Yeah. No, I hear you with that, with Brown and everything. Again, it'll be keep an eye on what's going on with the Bengals' health or anything.
Yeah, if Flacco's out, to sit Brown, play Vidal.
Yeah, that's
again,
where I am.
This is why I don't really like these questions earlier in the week, because people get set in it, and then some new news drops and they start to scramble, and now they want to look at it again. Wait.
See, I'll make this easy for me. I'm going to go Pittman and Vidal. I'm not even going to mess with it at this point. We got to answer with the information that we know now.
That's fair.
Rich, thank you so much again for stopping by, man. It's great to see you
pleasure.
again. I know that, you're balancing it out with your gig, your full-time gig and everything. And it's great to have you back on the stream, man.
It's my pleasure. Love to be back, man. Seriously.
For Rich Maletto, I'm Justin Fensterman at Fensty Sports on X and Instagram. Tonight, watch along Wednesday in the DFS NBA Discord channel, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll be there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, just reacting to everything going on in the NBA. I've got the DFS NBA write-up. Generally, I'll be Monday through Wednesday for those. I'll be doing bets, though, throughout the weekend, a little bit on the weekend, too, for the NBA. So make sure you keep it locked in. 9 games on FanDuel for NBA, 7 games on DraftKings. We'll have that article. Make sure you go into Discord. For Maletto, I'm Fensty. It's Fantasy Sports Daily. Ray Flowers back tomorrow, same time, same place, same channel, right here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by Fantasy Guru.